Let's get ready to rumble!
Raining on Usyk's parade, not cool. Not cool. But you addressed it. You apologised. As for the shame and embarrassment, are some of us becoming a little indulgent in how important we think we are to others, that they should feel ashamed and embarrassed in front of us because of what they say and do? Now, look, when people do nefarious crimes, you would hope to see some remorse, embarrassment and shame and repentance, hopefully. But AJ, get over yourself. And all of you expecting AJ to wear masks over his face like Floyd Patterson did because he lost, you need to get over yourself a little. You know, it is what it is. You know, we live in what they call the World Wide Web. For a lot of people, their moment of shame or quote-unquote embarrassment is never too far away. And next week it will be someone else. You know, it is what it is. AJ no longer has no straps. He should use that to maybe pick up his apprenticeship again. You know, a lot of people are talking about, fight top 10 guys. Well, if Fury could fight the likes of Schwartz and Pianetta after his layoff, can't AJ fight Schwartz or Pianetta or the best cruiserweight? Have a couple of easy knockouts and pad your record up. I mean, Wilder's record is padded to the point you could in-cage people with mental issues in it. Shouldn't have went there. But I had to. Yeah, you know, he can fight. He can fight 3 or 4 times next year. Maybe get another fight in this year. Couple of journeymen, and then a ranked opponent. Build up his numbers. After winning a world title in, 2.5 years after turning pro, even in 2016, going on to 3 years as a pro, in that 2016 he fought 3 world championship fights. And it wasn't until the Klitschko stadium era began, he became a 2-fight-a-year guy, like most champions these days. And it happened maybe too soon for AJ. He didn't manage to get his apprenticeship. I'm actually glad that Rob McCracken, some of the spotlight can be taken off him, because he was being blamed for AJ regressing. And it's down to AJ. Like, AJ creates his environment. So what was this, Robert Garcia's fault that AJ lost? Blame trainers too much. Way too much. Yeah, he needs to get his confidence back, enjoy not having the constraints of deadlines and mandatories from the sanctioning bodies. He already set the template by throwing the belt, the WBA belt, on the floor. Now, keep that going. Like, he shouldn't be stressing that. He should be just going back to the O2 or maybe Wembley Arena, Wembley Stadium or whatever, is make some big fights there. And let the work come to him. But he has to keep improving. He has to maintain his discipline and ambition. And it is what it is. He lost the fight, and now he's got to rehabilitate himself. And that's what all fighters have to do. He's no exception to that. Yeah, he did have some entitlement issues that, I'm Joshua, I got to come back to the ring. Remember me, I was unified champion twice. And that ego comes along with being a fighter, I guess. You know, they don't respond well to loss, and then the criticism that comes with the loss, and then the frustration that comes along with training so long thinking you're going to win and it doesn't happen. I did say AJ could bust some of the early rounds and he will be in contention by the 9th round, and it's all how he negotiates the championship rounds. And I think the fight was evenish, but I didn't score it. But AJ, if he did throw it away, it was in them late rounds, and you got to give props to Usyk. AJ had some stuff that worked for him in the fight and didn't work for him. Like, when he was taking Usyk's shots, he wasn't, oh, I've got hit, let the world know I've got hit. He was just walking through the shots, and his poker face was a lot better. But that also produced a habit of just taking shots. Yeah, just bang, 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 bang. Look, you can't hurt me. And it was suicidal for him on the scorecards in the end outcome. Chris Lovejoy pointed out AJ is not moving sideways in. He's coming in square. And yes, that is true now he said it. AJ gave Usyk a square target to tee off with them combinations when need be. When the championship rounds came along, and in the early rounds, I didn't see the tie-up game. He let Usyk get off way too much, and considering he wasn't hurt and wasn't discombobulated, Strategically, he could have done better in that regards. He didn't double the jab up enough. The body work was very good. The ninth round was very good. And Usyk, he did what he had to do. A lot of people are going to get mad when I say what I have to say here. He's a very competent fighter, one of the pound for pound best, but he's as boring as fuck. America are not going to gravitate to it, and outside of Ukraine and that sect who just worship Eastern European fighters, but they themselves don't come from there. He needs Tyson Fury more than Tyson Fury needs him. We've seen the last few performances that Tyson Fury has produced, and we're getting knockouts, drag him out, slugfests, the whole lot. Even though he did hold quite a lot against Dillian White, which no one picked up on. And they wouldn't pick up on it because knockouts bring amnesia with them, don't they? But that was quite a boring performance until the knockout finish. But he did produce the knockout finish. Sporting Icons, he had the foresight to say if Usyk wins the belts, that it's going to go back to the Klitschko days where no one's interested in the heavyweight division. And Usyk isn't exciting enough to maintain the attention of enough boxing fans to keep his championship fights at fever pitch, like Tyson Fury has done recently, like AJ has done previously, like a Mike Tyson or Evander Holyfield. Lennox Lewis, some of his performances were a little lukewarm, but he had the dance partners like Holyfield, Tyson, the Ruddocks, the Mercers, all of whom assisted in the summary of his legacy, legend, and resume. I don't think Usyk is a career-long heavyweight. I don't think he holds the belt that long. Unfortunately for AJ, he had to be the first major heavyweight to take on Usyk. But right now, they've got the blueprint on Usyk. They've got the blueprint. And somebody, maybe Tyson Fury, but somebody is going to stop him getting off them little flurries he's getting off. And the little pivots and all that. The double jab's going to cut that down. The body shots are going to cut that down. The big man who fights him might have to risk punching himself out, but it'll be well worth the risk when they eventually take Usyk's belts. I don't want to be too negative about the guy. I don't see him as a long-term great champion. He's a long-term great Hall of Famer, coming up from Cruiser, undisputed champion, then winning the unified title. Yes, he's a great fighter, a Hall of Famer in the making, but a great heavyweight? No. AJ has to go back in the line with the rest of the contenders now. Lucky for him, he has big drawing power, will attract enough wants from enough boxing fans who want to see him back in the title picture to get a title shot. But he has to keep winning as well. He has to keep winning. Let's see what the ambition, the drive, and the discipline is like. Does he keep Robert Garcia on board? I mean, Robert Garcia is not going to relocate to the United Kingdom, so does AJ go back out? Is it to Fresno? Where was Robert Garcia based again? Does he go back out to America with Robert Garcia? Or does Garcia just come out here when he's ready to prep for a fight? No, I suggest he needs to be with Garcia in the same country. So when he needs that trainer and fighter time, he can just get it on tap. AJ is who he is. Perhaps if he acted like how he acted post-fight, if he had acted like that pre-fight, could have been a different result. Usyk was smiling when his mandatory came up against Anthony Joshua. You know, Crusack was talking about Anthony Joshua brings class to the sport while the Americans bring whatever he said. He did say that. And Joshua probably took that as a compliment, but they were lulling him into something he was unaware of. Similar to when he handed Andy Ruiz his belts. And post-fight, he said he'd do it again. He said that wasn't a problem. Oh, maybe not. I mean, like, what did LL Cool J do to Cannabis when he inquired about the mic on his arm? I'm going to get one of them. Took Cannabis off the record. Took him off. You don't come ask about the mic. The mic is an iconic symbol that belongs to an iconic rapper. Usyk knew that Joshua is talented, he's powerful, but he doesn't have that mentality. Like everybody was saying, okay, yeah, he's going to get aggressive and rough Usyk up. And he did it for periods in the fight, but the championship rounds, he wasn't tactically aware enough that you need to tie this guy up and slow the pace up. Especially after that 9th round. It was time to get stingy. You got to be stingy now. Steal points. Stop him from scoring. Whatever you have to do. You need to slow up the pace of the bout. He's got faster hands. Tie him up, Joshua. Tie him up. That was a little frustrating. And he made the cardinal sin in the fight. You see the borderline low blow? Usyk decided to become the referee. The referee wasn't going to do anything. Until Usyk turned away and showed out to the referee that it was a low blow. The rules in boxing is protect yourself at all times. And Usyk didn't do that. And AJ was in his right as far as boxing law goes to follow up and throw some lethal shots on him whether he was ready or not. It's up to the referee to officiate the bout. Boxers don't officiate the bout. The referee does. When the referee calls foul, then you stop fighting. When the referee says break, then you stop fighting. I want to big up Lennox. He pointed it out in Facebook that, Usyk was begging the referee to bail him out in the fight when the borderline low blow bent him up. And, he did. But I don't blame him. AJ let him get away with it. Yeah, you go in the ring and make friends. I'm going in there to take your head off. This is pro boxing. From when I started the channel, and no one even tried and said, no, someone said that before you did. No. My ideology was, if you're a boxer, pretend the referee ain't in there. Pretend he ain't in there and fight your fight. Pretend he ain't there until you're forced to acknowledge him. Jack Dempsey, you knew I was going to go old school on your fucking ass, innit? You knew. Jack Dempsey against Jack Sharkey. Jack mugged Sharkey out of the victory. Sharkey was mugging off Dempsey. Outboxing him. What was it, 6 or 7 rounds? Dempsey started working to Sharkey's midsection and he threw some low blows. Sharkey turned around to the referee. Dempsey, left hook. Oh, Sharkey, out. Out. And they revered Dempsey for that shit. They loved him for that shit. Maybe Anthony Joshua wouldn't get away with that so easy. Oh, you fucking cheat. Oh, you blah, blah, blah. But they revered Dempsey for that shit. Took no prisoners. AJ just stopped punching. He had no business doing that. So all that Robert Garcia gonna make me mean and this and that and Robert McCracken ain't doing this. AJ has to wise up. It's time to be a boss. Not one of the boys. Let's stop being one of the boys and boss up. And look, it's not all about rah, rah, rah before the fight and all of that. Because let me tell you something, right? All these guys who say AJ needs to rah, 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 rah. You see all these guys here? As soon as they see the tool or the skein pull out, or the knife get drawn, or they know they're going to come within an inch of losing their life. All that tough talk is gone, right? As long as you are thorough, when you need to be thorough, like when you hit him with that borderline shot, and it was borderline. It was no different to the shots that Andre Ward was throwing on Kovalev, and he won that fight. No different. And there's Andre Ward talking about what Joshua ain't doing and this and that. What Joshua ain't doing is taking advantage of punching people in the nuts like you. It wasn't the worst loss in the world. Now, he didn't get beat up in the fight. It's how he emotionally comes back from this more than anything. Joshua's biggest issue is how Usyk doesn't punch hard. He's not physically imposing, and he's still managing to get them W's. That's what's really troubling Joshua. But I've pointed out a lot of stuff in this vid. Joshua needs to come more side on than square. Chris Lovejoy pointed that out. You need to tie up against Usyk. Also, the upright high guard is too easy for Usyk to read. Joshua has to come down with his punches. Usyk sees them coming. Joshua sometimes tries to bend his knees so he can get at Usyk's height level to see if he can find the range that way. Maybe you can catch Usyk off guard with the more straighter shots when he bends his knees. But when he bends his knees, Usyk sees it and he's out of there. He's out of there. Where was the uppercuts? Come underneath with some of the shots. Loop them over the top as opposed to always trying to straight 1-2. A bit more variation. You know, if he was stepping in more side on rather than square, he'd be able to do things like drop his hands at times. And, you know, pull an uppercut up from the waist. Make it hard for Usyk to see some of the punches. Mike Tyson was saying Anthony Joshua's punches are too predictable. You know, he bent down against Povetkin. He bent his knees against Povetkin to get to Povetkin's height level. Because Povetkin likes fighting 6'5", 6'6" guys. He's used to that. That technique is designed to fight guys of that size, the modern sized heavyweight. He loves springing off from that back left foot, landing big left hooks, knocking big guys out. But Joshua bent down to Povetkin's height and he landed the killer shots. But Usyk just too agile for that. Too agile. Usyk is a champion, great for the Ukraine. It will pick their spirits up, at least temporarily. I don't want to talk about that situation too much. Hopefully the undisputed fight is made with Tyson Fury. You could make a case for Usyk, but probably a bigger case for Tyson Fury winning it. Am I absolutely gutted that Joshua is out of the undisputed shake-up right now? Yeah, I am a little, but Joshua's still green, you know what I mean? In saying that, I'm gutted. This loss isn't the worst thing. Not having belts right now is not the worst thing for Anthony Joshua. Not the worst thing, but, let's talk about Usyk. Big in the Ukraine, big around certain parts of Europe, no doubt about that. And that's all what matters, really. He doesn't need to conquer America. I could be wrong, but I don't think Khrushchev and Klimas are that concerned about, do the Americans like what we're doing? Usyk ain't concerned about it. The Ukrainians ain't concerned about it. The Klitschko's, when America abandoned them, the networks abandoned them, it didn't bother them. They were doing huge fights, stadium fights, huge pay-per-view, huge viewing figures out there, and made a bucket load of money. They're not concerned about cracking America. That was AJ and Eddie's hang-up in 2019. Yeah, we've got to crack America, we've got to press the Americans. That's not Usyk's hang-up. That's becoming less of a necessity for fighters who are not in that territory. I mean, what the fuck is this? The 60s and 70s? The Beatles? Nah, that's done. So, not the most threatening heavyweight champion, it has to be said. He scored 1 stoppage in his 4 heavyweight fights. Hasn't produced a knockdown. Is there any more to come from Usyk in terms of improvement? I'm not so sure. How old is he now? I'm not so sure. But writing him off, underestimating him, will be at whoever's peril, if they do so. I will say that.